top things that I wish I knew in singleness now that I've been married for 6 months. First thing, and this is a question I get all the time. People are like, "What has surprised you the most?" As somebody who was experienced prolonged singleness and somebody who sits with singles, teach singles, coach singles, understands singleness in the church and Christian dating and all that kind of stuff, what has been the thing that has surprised you the most now that you're married? This is the number one answer that I always share, and it's
Welcome to the Grace for the Growth podcast. I'm your host, Courtney Leo. The goal of this podcast is to encourage you on your own growth journey by empowering you to live your life with authenticity, freedom, and confidence. We will get real and raw as we dive into honest conversations about life, faith, business, relationships, dating, healing, and so much more. My goal is that you would walk away from our time together feeling a little less alone, a little less crazy, and a little more brave to be yourself. I hope you will find yourself more compassionate to past you, challenged as present you, and excited for future you. Embrace the story, welcome the messy of it all, sit in the unknown, and most importantly, live authentically. So pull up a chair in my virtual living room and let's dive into today's conversation.
Welcome back to another episode. You're getting just me today, and we're going to see how this thing goes. It's raining outside, so who knows if we're going to lose power or there's going to be a thunderstorm or the lights are going to flicker or the dogs are going to bark because I didn't put them up. Like, this is just going to be a very candid conversation of us just chatting, which I really have missed. Nick and I have done a lot of combined episodes together, so I'm really looking forward to some solo episodes just to talk with you guys about some things that are on my heart, some things that I'm learning, as there have been a lot of changes and a lot of transitions, as you guys know, as you guys are well aware of. And so I'm really excited just to invite you into my virtual living room. We're just casually having a conversation. I'm in, comfy clothes, very little makeup on, and just ready to chat with you guys for a few minutes today about some things that are on my heart. So it is May, and that is a couple significant moments. One is May is my birthday month. So I just had a birthday and I get really reflective in May. I get really reflective in my birthday month, kind of going through different, I don't know, just like recap and reflecting over the last year. And my gosh, the last year, really the last 18 months has been like just like an absolute whirlwind, an absolute whirlwind. And I think about who I was a year and a half ago and what I was walking through when I was navigating and who I am today. And I'm still me, but my goodness, there's a lot that has changed. There's a lot that's I've grown in. There's a lot that I have changed in. And so, it was just like a really big reflective May and birthday for me. The other thing that's coming up is, it's also like the anniversary of our engagement. And so thinking about like a lot of those memories, and like this time last year, like I was prepping to move and like telling my landlord I wasn't renewing my lease and like prepping to leave my 9 to 5 and just like all these different things. Also, sorry, I'm super distracted. Every time every time I set this podcast studio up, Nick tells me that this wire needs to be over here, and I forget every time. So if he watches this, he's going to get on me. So let me just fix this. Anyways, but yeah, so like this time in May, I was just like going through a lot of different things. And so I was thinking about what I want to talk about today. And the other big reflection that's coming up is that it's been 6 months since we got married. May 16th is 6 months since we got married. So just a lot of reflection. So I thought that I would come on today and chat with you guys a little bit about some things that I have learned in 6 months of marriage, and reflections that I have in 6 months of marriage that I wish I knew or I wish someone had talked more about while I was single. If you guys don't know, I experienced prolonged singleness. I didn't go on a date for 9 years. Didn't go on a first date for 9 years, and then got really good at the act of dating, which has its pros and cons because dating is a skill set. So I got really good at the dating skill set. And then, we're going to have a dog come in. I don't know if you're going to be able to see him. Oh, you're not going to be able to see him. But I'll get some puppy snuggles during this. But yeah, so I got really good at the act of dating. And then around last summer, not last summer, I was engaged last summer, 2 summers ago, I just kind of got to this point where I was like, I'm exhausted. I'm like burnt out on the act of dating. I don't really know if it's ever going to happen. And I just want to kind of live my life, and I want to live the life that I've wanted. I want to live authentically to who I am. I want to dream. I want to travel. I want to move to a different city. Now the dogs are all in here and all like near me. So if you hear them walking around, they're here with us in the living room. So I just started making like big decisions for my life, like really like poured a lot of time into my coaching business and really kind of quit dating, just kind of quit like focusing in on it and just started building this life that I love. And then that's when the whole surprise happened of meeting Nick and yada yada. Y'all know that. Um, so I've just been really reflecting over like what are the things I learned, and hear my heart. I'm not saying this as somebody who's like a marriage pro. Nick and I have this joke all the time when like things will come up. We'll be like, oh my gosh, we just met. Like we're basically strangers. We say it all the time. Like we're basically strangers. I'm by no means like sharing this as a marriage pro. I don't want to like teach about marriage. I don't want to like share, here are top tips for your marriage. Like that's not my heart in this episode and in this conversation with you about what I've learned in the last 6 months. Really, my heart in this is if I think about Courtney 2 years ago, 3 years ago, looking at marriage, hoping for marriage, not hoping for marriage, like going through dating, these are just some things that either have surprised me at how important they are, have surprised me how important they're not are, or just like things that I was like, oh, I didn't think about it that way. And now being through 6 months of marriage, this is kind of wish I had more insight of in singleness. And so I hope you hear my heart, not coming from a place of advice, just coming from a place of reflection. And this is Grace for the Growth. So it's all about growing together and what I'm growing and what I'm learning along the way, what I have learned in my relationship over the last 6 months and really over the last 18 months. And hopefully our dogs here will not knock down this podcast suite. It's thundering now, so they're freaking out. Okay, cool. But yeah, I hope you hear my heart here. I hope you hear my heart and hope that makes sense. So let's dive into it. That was probably big enough of an intro. I'm like looking here. Okay, it wasn't that long. So I have a list here on my phone. So I'm going to look at it and refer back to it. I just like, this is not like a formalized list at all. It's like literally just some notes that I took after showering. So, all right, top things that I wish I knew in singleness now that I've been married for 6 months. First thing, and this is a question I get all the time. People are like, what has surprised you the most? As somebody who was experienced prolonged singleness and somebody who sits with singles, teach singles, coach singles, understands singleness in the church and Christian dating and all that kind of stuff, what has been the thing that has surprised you the most now that you're married? This is the number one answer that I always share. And it's, I underestimated how much friendship is the foundation. People always say, and we always hear like, oh my gosh, like you marry your best friend. And that feels like so cliche and so annoying, especially when you're getting into your 30s and 40s and you don't really have best friends of the opposite sex as much as you did like when you're in high school or even in college. Like I definitely had guy best friends that were like in my close circle, maybe not my inner circle, but definitely had guys that I was in close friendship with when I was younger. But into my adult years, no, absolutely not. One, because a lot of guys are married. Two, because if I was super, super close with them, why would I not like, why would be super close and not date? Anyways, so that's kind of like what everyone says, right? Like you marry your best friend, you marry your best friend. And there's this other narrative like going on growing up in purity culture and in the church and all these different things. I was so fast to friend zone guys, so fast. Honestly, even in the Christian dating sphere, like so fast to friend zone guys if I didn't feel like there was like this spark or this chemistry or this attraction, like I was so fast to put them in the friend zone. And one thing that I've like learned now finding my person is how much of our relationship is friendship and is being about a good friend. And if there is anything that I like could say like really prepped me really well for marriage is learning how to be a really good friend. And that doesn't just have to be being a really good friend with guys. Like that can be like how do you cultivate really good adult friendships? Friendships that are honest and true and full of joy and laughter and adventures, but also like hard conversations and trust and just like all of these different things. Like friendship has been such a foundation of us, of our marriage. Of course there's attraction, and of course there's like more than just friendship, but there are moments like I can specifically remember conversations with Nick where I'm like, I'm so sorry. Like, I forgot we're married because I just am like looking at you and I'm like celebrating you and I'm like here with you as your friend, like as your best friend. And I know I'm your wife or fiance or whatever I was. Like, I know I'm your wife. I know I'm your person. But like right now, I just feel like I am your friend and I'm in your corner. Like, just as he's gone through different transitions with his job and like working through stuff in his story, like I I've been like, "Oh, I'm a baby wife." Like I'm very new at being a wife, but I am really good at being a friend. And I'm gonna think I am, but I'm really good at being a friend, and I know how to be a really good friend to my husband, and there's so much of our life that is friendship. There is the romance, like, there is all of that, but there's so much of our life that is friendship, like, us just being friends. Like, last night, we had, like, something that was going wrong with the cars and or one of the cars, and, we were just like out in the garage and like Nick was like working on something and like I was cleaning something out there and we were just like out there like spending time together, and there was a okay cool like friendship moment, like we're just together, or like we'll sit out like by the fire and we'll just like talk. We won't have an agenda and it won't be like a let's have a conversation, but we'll just like talk about life and dreams of life and celebrate each other and talk about things, like when we're triggered, not just by each other, but like other things. And how was your day? Like there's just so much friendship that's like wrapped up into it that I really underestimated how powerful it was. And I wish that I had known in singleness how big marriage was going to be friendship, how big, and beyond just like you marry your best friend, but he has become my best friend. And so I think that's the other thing I would say to anybody who's single is like, if you're looking around and you're like, I don't have a guy best friend to marry, it's okay if he becomes your best friend like over time. And so that's the question like I always ask like my clients now, like when I'm sitting with them, they're going on first dates and those kind of things. I ask questions about like, how did you feel while you're on your first date? But then the question I also ask, which is what I asked on my first date with Nick, was like, would you want to be friends with him? Is this somebody that you want to be friends with? Not somebody that you're like just attracted to or like just, you know, I don't know, like there's sparks and butterflies and blah, blah, blah. But like, is this somebody, sorry, the camera moved. Is this somebody that you want to spend time with? Like you want to have that friendship with? That's a really good indicator for marriage. Okay, that was a long one, but it's very, very important. And some of these kind of run together. But friendship is such a huge foundation and such a big part of marriage. Also, hear me when I say the things I'm sharing is really just from my experience. And so if somebody in here is listening and they're married and they're like, that's not my experience at all, or Courtney, that's such an anomaly, or the thing that you listed, like, no, that's not everyone's experience, I'm okay with that. This is just my experience. These are things that I've learned, and your experience might be different. Your experience in the future, like if you are single, might be different, but this is what I've learned and this is what I'm sharing. So
Um, this is not, please hear me that this is not a one size fits all, and this might not be everyone's experience, but this is just what I've learned. This is my story. Okay. These two kind of go hand in hand. The first one is knowing how to self regulate is crucial. One thing that I worked a lot on over the last 2 years is learning what some of my most common triggers are and learning how to self regulate when I get triggered. This has been crucial in our marriage uh, because we are so close and because we are so honest and vulnerable with each other. There are moments where I'm super raw and vulnerable and he's super raw and vulnerable, and like we're triggering each other and we're just like in this like trigger cycle. And so we just like need to take a pause and figure out how to self-regulate or co-regulate if it's important. Sometimes we just like need to take a pause and like leave and go self-regulate and then come back together and be like, okay, like what's going on? We started this thing recently where like something happened, like one of us got triggered and the other one reacted to the trigger, and it was just like kind of like it was one of those things where it like wasn't that big of a deal, but all of a sudden like we're both high, like we're both on red. Red, not read, like we're both on red, and um we just like worked through the miscommunication, like we talked through the trigger, like okay, when you said this it made me feel this, okay, I'm sorry, miscommunicated there, like we kind of like worked through it. There's still like this like overcloud funk because like our bodies are so dysregulated in that moment. And so it was like a co-regulating moment where we just like sat there and like we just hugged, and then we were like, okay, just shake it off, like just shake it off, and we just like literally just did like Taylor Swift shake it off dance, like we just like shook it off, shook out the gunk off, and we were able to like move through, because we had talked about it and we're like, okay, cool, like how is our body, like let's just like move our body, like let that move through, because so much of your story and your triggers and your trauma is like stored in your body. So like when you can like move, it could be a dance party, it could be a high five, it could be like you know moving stuff around, like so that's like one way that we like work through triggers and then we co-regulate as needed, and then move our bodies and move through it. But then there's sometimes where like one of us is just like so, a lot of times it's me, but like one of us is just like so triggered because I very outwardly express my triggers, or Nick very inwardly like deals with his triggers. But like it's just like it's so high that like we just need to pause and move on or something like that. Um so that looks like, sorry, I just like heard a buzz. I don't know what is happening. It's probably because I'm super insecure because I'm like doing this without Nick right now, which I did for years. I digress. So yeah, so sometimes we just have to self-regulate. There have been moments where like we've been like our stories are flaring up at each other and like we're in some sort of like argument. We feel like we're going around in circles, and like I just like need a pause and like leave the room, or like go get a drink or water, or like do something to like self-regulate so I can come back into the room and like actually be able to enter into the conversation, not just like totally firing, and I can actually like let my body know like we're safe. We're safe, like everything is okay. So self-regulating has been really, really important. And that's a skill set that I learned in singleness that has really helped me definitely in marriage. Cause yeah, there's a lot of stuff that comes up when you're being really honest and vulnerable with somebody. And somebody knows you really well. So that being said, this is the second one. Healing in singleness isn't wasted. Um, there's never been one moment in marriage where I've been like, oh my gosh, I feel like that work that I did while I was single really didn't pay off. Like there's never been a moment where I'm like, oh, okay, like the work I did in singleness didn't make me who I am today, to be able to navigate the conversations, the highs, the lows, the ups and downs, and all of that. All right, moving on. I know I'm just flying through some of these, but some of these are going to take a little bit longer. But merging takes time. Merging takes time. And there's a couple that kind of like run into this. So this is kind of going to be like a whole section in itself. But we've shared this story before if you've listened to the podcast, but we were in premarital counseling last summer, and
one of the things that was coming up for me that I was like really struggling with, and this is when we were living in Georgia. So like at this point, we were engaged, and we're making a lot of like big life decisions together. Like it's kind of my life and his life, but then there's some elements of our life that are ours. There were some things like the story we always tell that you've probably heard before if you're a listener is, we talk about having to make big decisions about like Cooper's health when he got hurt, my dog. Like we made that decision together, even though it's my dog. At that time, we started like doing grocery shopping and meal planning together. We started doing some of our budgeting together. There was just like a lot of things that were starting, like our calendars were starting to be together. There's a lot of things where it wasn't just like my life and his life. There was a merging happen. And so I'm sitting in premarital counseling with our pastor, and I'm like, I'm just really having a hard time. Like, what is going to change on our wedding day? Because I just feel like I'm starting to feel my life intertwined with him. Like I can't separate my life from him anymore. Like I can't, like my life doesn't like separate. Like it's like it's already mixed, like it can't be separated. So what I was asking is like, what's going to be different on wedding day? Cause we're engaged, and like, there's already so much that's happened. And what he shared with us, which like changed everything. And I know some of you have already heard this, is like what he shared with us is when it talks about in scripture, like the two shall become one. And he told us the becoming has already started. And he said that your marriage, like it's a day of covenant, it's a day of celebration, but it's marking the covenant that you guys like are entering into and have entered into. It's a day, it's an important day. I'm not minimizing the important day of the covenant, but it's a marking moment of what has happened and what will continue to happen. He said it would be unfair for you to think that after your wedding day, you guys won't have more merging. There is going to continue to be more merging of your lives and your hearts and those kind of things, because when it says the two shall become one, it's a becoming process. And so the becoming has started for you guys in engagement. And that just like relieved me of pressure. And it also gave me a lot of relief once we got into marriage to be able to go, okay, like the becoming is still happening. Like when there are things that I'm like, oh my gosh, like I haven't figured this out yet, or like this is tough, or like I can just be able to say like the becoming is continuing to happen. Like we're a little baby marriage. Like and so the becoming is continuing happening. The merge takes time. And that's the thing I wrote down. The merging takes time. I'm so grateful, honestly, for our season in Georgia. We had gone from long distance to now being in the same city. And that season, I feel like really accelerated our merging compared to if we had always lived in the same city. When we moved to the same city, where I moved to his city, it was just kind of like this like fast track to, oh my gosh, we're doing life together. Like we lived separately, but like um he would go to work, and when he was done, like we would go to one of our houses and make dinner and then be there until it was bedtime, and then, leave or go hang out with friends together or like something like that. So there was a merging because it wasn't like my life and his life. It was like starting to become our life. Um, so that leads me to my next thing, and it says, it says get 2 hours. And I mean, get to, not the number two, but get to, and then hours, like our insert blank here, our calendar, our budget, our items, our meal plan. Life was much harder when it was like, well, these are my cups, or this is my bank account, or this is my bedspread, or this is my furniture. It takes time. Like I said, merging takes time. It takes time to like get to the place where, um, you know, there's this merge that happens, especially when you are getting married later in life. You have established homes and routines and kitchens and furniture. Like you have established things. And, both of us got rid of furniture and housewares and different things. This is talking specifically about moving. Like both of us got rid of it because we're kind of merging and we're like, okay, we're going to use his couch. We're going to use my appliance of this. We're going to use my bed for this, like all this kind of stuff. And so there was a merging of our items, and it took a little bit from it to go to, well, this is my bed or this is his couch, to like, this is our bed. This is our couch. Like, this is, and just getting to a place of like, this is our kitchen. These are our appliances. And so some of that was like just language. Like we just needed to start talking like that. Um, our cars, that's another thing. Like while we have predominant cars that are ours, that we brought into the into the relationship, like we can operate both of these cars. Like it's okay. So there was a getting to our bank accounts, our calendar, our home, our that like that honestly made it a lot easier. And I'm not saying it's like absolutely perfect. Like there's definitely some things where I'm like, well, I mean, can you fix that? Cause like, that's yours, or you've had that for 4 years or like whatever. But it's more of like a delegation. Like our possessions are our homes, our families, our calendar, our money, like it's ours together. And making that merge happen, it took time. Some of it happened like before marriage. Like we, just because of life circumstances, we actually like blended a lot of our finances actually before our wedding day. Um, just because of how our life like ended up and job change and all that kind of stuff. Um, but like, yeah, just like figuring out how to get to our home, our family is really important. This leads me to the next one. Where the dishes goes aren't is where the dishes go isn't that big of a deal. um I somebody was asking me a couple months ago, like, how's marriage going? Like, have you like finished your fight about which way the toilet paper goes and where the dishes go? And I slapped back really quickly because in our home we have a lot of typical gender roles that like we share and then also are like reversed. And in our home, like Nick is king of the kitchen. Like he runs the kitchen, he unpacked the kitchen, he puts things where he wants them. The only like kind of indicator I like jump in there is reminding him that I can't reach the top shelf because I'm 5'1". And so I'm like, hey, like, can we move this set of dishes actually a lower shelf because I can't reach them? But other than that, like Nick's in charge of kitchen and like meal planning and like all that kind of stuff. Like I'll do the grocery shopping and I'll put food away, and we'll kind of help with like the rest of like home upkeep, like make sure that we have, toilet paper and paper towel and dog food and like all of that kind of stuff. But like he is king of the kitchen. So which is if an answered prayer for me, because I was like, if I marry a man that needs me to run the kitchen, it is not going to be a good day for us. So, so, anyways, so this person who was like, so have you guys figured out like where the dishes go? Like, you quit fighting about the dishes, and I was able to slap back and be like, I was kind of nice about it, but I was kind of sassy, and I was like, actually, no. Um, one, Nick's in charge of all of that. But then it got me thinking, like, it's not that big of a deal. It's not that big of a deal. Here's what I will say. When we first merged, when we first like started like putting all of our stuff in the same house, there was definitely a lot of conversations about where things go. And because here's the thing, like everything is new. Like how you organize your towels and where you put your toiletries and how much extra food you store and like just those kind of things. Like everything is new anytime you move anyways, and then you're moving in with somebody else who has their own norms, and you have to have conversations and compromise. And one thing I learned is like there are some things that it's really doesn't matter. Like it really doesn't matter if I've always put the plates here, but like Nick wants to put the plates there. And if it's not that big of a deal, it's not that big of a deal. Um, and that took me a little while to learn, but I think I'm getting better at it. We'll see. Okay, here we go. We doing good? I have just a few more left, and some of them kind of merge together. Um, you don't lose yourself. You actually create new. Um, I feel like I've always heard a lot of messages in marriage about marriage that are always like, die to yourself and sacrifice, and like it's no longer you. Or when I was single, like love your life when you're single. You're not going to be able to do the things that you want to do once you're married. Um, and like I actually had a client once who was like, I actually don't know if I want to get married because everyone makes it sound like it's like prison. Like I don't get to be me anymore. And I'm like, you know what? There's a lot of messages out there that are talking about marriage that way and talking about how like you don't get to be you don't get to live your life anymore. And while there is compromise, while there is sacrifice, while I am checking in with another person, while I do have another person's input as to where the dishes go, right? Um like I think the thing that has surprised me a lot about marriage is that I I just I'm still me. Like sometimes I'll be sitting there and I'll be like, "Can you believe we're married?" Because this whole time, like my whole life, in prolonged singleness, I'm like, you know, it's so easy to look at marriage as like I've arrived. Like I'm finally this like grown up adult, right? And I worked really hard and I help people and help you work really hard not to put marriage on this pedestal and make marriage this idol and to it just be like, a part of life. But like, singleness doesn't make you a JV adult. These are all things you've heard me say. And so I I was like, I feel I feel like so me. Like I think that's the thing. Like sometimes I'm like, can you believe like we got married? We actually did it. Like we actually did the thing that has been placed on like such high regards. Like sometimes, we're sitting in messages and we hear like the same old like marriage message or whatever that I've heard for so many years, but I've heard it through the lens of singleness and I've been like, "Ugh, gosh," and now I'm like, "Oh, like I'm having a really hard time like identifying with like I don't know if any of this is making sense, but I'm having like a really hard time like identifying with like me as a married person because I still feel so much like me." And the truth is, I am fully me. Like, I am still me. I still like the things that I like. Like, I didn't die. I didn't go away. I didn't disappear. I didn't change into a different person. Like, I am still the Courtney that you know and love. I just have this new element of myself also on top of this. I'm still the Courtney that I know and love, right? I worked really hard to learn to like love myself and understand what I like and what I don't like and be able to name my needs and be able to like understand what I need in my story. And like that girl still exists. Like she is still there. She is still there. She just has also this like new season that she's in. It's like if you were I'm trying not to like minimize marriage but while also getting this point across, but it's like you are still you if you change career paths. Like it's not like, oh my gosh, I'm like a whole different person and like that person's gone. Like, no, like you're still you. Like who you are is still you. And so I say that because I think it's really easy in singleness for like us to feel like once we get to marriage, then I'm going to feel this, or then I'm going to be happy about this, or then I'm going to feel confident in this way, or then I'm going to like feel this. And like I'm so grateful that I built a life that I love and like learn to love myself so well and to take care of myself so well because that girl still exists in marriage. Like she's still there. And if marriage is the solution to all of these problems, you're going to be really disappointed. You'd be really disappointed because it doesn't solve all the problems. And the church has made us feel with their messages of like, when are you getting married? Are you dating anybody? Are you dating anybody new? Like, marriage is God's design, like, blah, 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 and all these kind of things. And look, I hear it. Like, marriage is a good thing. I signed up for it. Like, I hear it. But if marriage is going to be this solution to solve what's lacking or what's missing in your life, like you're going to be disappointed because you're still you. Like you're still fully you. And so I think that's what's important to say. Oh, there's Cooper right here at the most perfect time. Barking, my bad. Let's see if he'll stop for a second. Okay, maybe not. But here's the thing. So all that to say, and I'm getting on like a little bit of a soapbox there, but like I want you to know and I want you to hear that um you still get to be fully you in marriage, and it is not a trap. If it does feel like a trap, you might be with the wrong person. Just saying. Not saying that, but like if you're dating somebody and you feel like you can't be you, look at that. Look at that. Get curious around that. My relationship with my ex, I definitely felt like I could not be me. And I'm so grateful that I did not marry him because uh I wouldn't have been me, and I would have, who knows? I'm not going to go down that rabbit trail. So anyways, you are still you. So you better like you. You better like you. And also, I just want to like give you reassurance that you're not going to lose yourself. You're still going to get to be you. It's going to look different. It's going to feel different, but you still get to be you. And what you create with your partner is a newness, right? It's not 50% and 50% of a person becoming one. It's 100% of a person and 100% of a person becoming one. Like one of the ways that they talk to about us in premarital counseling is like 100% of you and 100% of you becoming one. Like that concept is manifested in children, right? Like when a man and a wife like, you know, conceive and have children, it's 100% the mom and 100% the dad, and it like it becomes one. It becomes a newness. You can't look at a kid and separate the mom's half from the dad's half. Like you can't be like, I mean, we do it all the time. Like, oh, you have your mom's eyes. Like, oh, you have your dad's nose. Like, but you actually cannot separate the DNA of that kid into this half is mom DNA, this half is dad DNA, and it still be a kid, like you know what I'm saying? I'm sure we could like do a whole science and, Punnett squares and all of that, but you hear what I'm saying. And genetics, I get it. Okay, I'm a genetic nerd in school, so I loved talking about genetics. But you get what I'm saying. You get what I'm saying here. Okay, thanks. So yeah, so you get to be 100% you. They get to be 100% you, and what you create in marriage. I'm not just talking about kids. I'm talking about your life. I'm talking about your home. I'm talking about your dreams. I'm talking about your vision. Like your dreams don't die because you walked into marriage. Your partner's dreams don't die because you walked into marriage. It just now your dreams, your vision, your family, it becomes one. And so now, as we talk about dreams and visions and passion and what we want for the future, like it is a family vision. It is Nick and I and whatever family comes, if it happens, like it is our family vision that includes both part of my vision and dreams and both his vision and dreams. And we make a new vision and dream together. So all that being said, don't be afraid um to love you. Don't be afraid. If you feel like you are waiting for marriage to fill in this puzzle piece, to fill you in some way, to solve a piece, like I don't know, I just feel like you're gonna be missing out. You're gonna be missing out in singleness, but then also like that hole might still be there. Walking into marriage. So that's why I'm so passionate about singles work and like working with singles on what's coming up for them and their stories and their triggers and all of that kind of stuff, because it impacts you as a single, period, end of sentence. And also, if you continue on and get the privilege of entering into a marriage, if that's what you want, it will also impact marriages and generations and families. So, you're still you. You're still you. Don't lose yourself. I have two more. One, this is so second to last one, and I will be wrapping up soon. Second to last one, hot take. As a product of purity culture movement in the 90s and 2000s is mostly me, but I know it was existence in the 90s. Um, Sex is a part of marriage, but is not all of marriage. And I think that's really, really important to say, to name, because we hear a lot of messages. We're in a sex crazed world, like secularly, and also I think kind of like in the Christian world. Like when we talk about marriage, I mean, you've heard it, right? You've heard the pastor from the stage talking about his smoking hot wife, right? They're like there's just this, like, we're always thinking, we're always talking about it, we're always like um talking about like staying pure. Like there's all these like fears and these messages, and I could go on a whole thing about purity culture. And if you want me to go on a whole podcast episode about purity culture and how it has impacted our stories today, let me know. I just did a whole training on it for my group coaching community, really naming kind of some of the after effects of the purity culture movement and how that's impacted how we view ourselves, our bodies, and desire, and how we've shut off desire because we've shut off any sort of sexual desire whatsoever. It's a whole can of worms. So if you want to hear it, let me know. Send me a message. But Cooper's barking again. There's construction happening outside of our house, and they just restarted because the sun came out. It's no longer storming, but that's who we are. This is the living room. Hang on. Let me yell at him really quickly. And we're back. So yeah, so I think recognizing that sex is a part of marriage, but it's not all of marriage. It's an important part of marriage, but I wish we talked about that more. Um, Couple things, and again, I could open this whole can of worms, but I feel like there's just, especially in singleness, like people are always talking to us about sexuality and sex, or not talking to us about it at all. And so it makes it this like elephant in the room, and it's either like way, way, way important, or it's this like mystery abyss that like no one is talking to us about it. And so okay, I'm realizing I have a lot to say about this. So this might just need to be a whole thing in itself. But that's what I'm going to say for now, is that it is it is a part of marriage. It is not the center and focal point of marriage. And again, this is my experience. And if that's only my experience, that's okay. But like it's a very, very, very important part. It's not this like center focal point that everyone, not everyone, but a lot of people uh made led me to believe it is at earlier parts of my singleness. Thankfully, in the last 3 or 4 years leading up to marriage, I put myself in positions to have a lot of wise counsel and education and safe places for me to ask questions and do a lot of like work and even some story work on how I view my own body and my own sexuality. And so that definitely helped in the last 3 or 4 years, and has played into, I think, a healthier mindset around sex and sexuality than I would have had I not walked through that over the last 3 or 4 years. Okay, last thing. And this kind of goes into a lot of what we talked about. You do not have to be, and you won't be 100% and healed, 100% healed and okay to receive marriage. You are becoming. You don't have to be, and you won't be 100% healed to be with your person. You are becoming. I talk to a lot of singles who feel like their singleness is a punishment for not insert said thing. Their singleness is a punishment for not learning this, or for doing this thing wrong, or they're not healed enough yet, or they haven't worked hard enough yet, or they haven't done enough therapy or coaching or read enough books or like those kind of things, that for some reason they're being punished by singleness. I have a lot to say about that because if marriage is a prize, singleness will always be a punishment. Singleness will always be failure. So we got to reword and rework our thinking around the role of marriage and the role of singleness. But um, I've had some people ask me, do you think I'm healed enough yet to like enter into this relationship? Do you think I'm healed enough yet, or I'm not healed enough yet to be married? And it's a complicated question because I do think that there is a level of self-awareness that is really, really, really helpful to have. Um, the fact that I know what some of my common triggers are, the fact that I have done some story work to know when my story is like bumping up against what's happening in my marriage, like being able to have some self-regulation tools. Like there's just a lot of things in my healing process that has been helpful. Um, but do I think that I'm like 100% like I have arrived and uh therefore that's why I got married? Absolutely not. Because in the last year and a half since Nick and I have been together, I feel like I have grown so much personally, but also as a result of being in a relationship with him and having like that, like things that I really don't like the world to see, or like things that are like really ugly about things I need the Lord to help me with or help heal with, or deep fears that I have. Like all of these things like are coming up in not just in marriage, but in our relationship, like leading towards marriage. And so there has been healing continuously that has happened since we've been together. And I think it would be unfair to say, oh my gosh, yes, I was like 100% the best that I've ever been. Do I think I was pretty healthy? For sure. Do I think I was the healthiest I've ever been mentally? Probably. I was pretty good, but also at the same time, um, I I I was digging up some major wounds and pain at the very, very beginning of Nick and I's relationship. And some of that was exaggerated because of our relationship, because I was having to face some things in my story as a result of being in a relationship with Nick. Some past hurt and some past trauma, it was coming up, and I was being triggered and all these kind of things because I was receiving really good, kind care from this guy, and it was hard to receive. It was so many things. I'm not going into my whole story in this episode, but um, so I feel like, well, yes, I was the furthest I was along. It wasn't like sunshine and roses when we met. And the one of my really big um things that are difficult for me is change and transition. I have a lot of major change and transition in my story over the course of like my childhood and teenage years and those kind of things. And basically the whole time I've been with Nick, it's just been one massive like change after change after change after transition. And so there have been some moments where I have felt like the biggest mess of all time. And thankfully, there's a lot of things that I've grown in, a lot of things I've learned. And I fully expect to continue to learn and grow and heal and walk into that. Um, but I do not believe that you have to be 100% whole, 100% whole, because like healing is a journey. It's not linear. And as long as we're on this side of heaven, there's always going to be things to heal. There's always going to be parts of your story that need to be grieved and that need to be named. There's always going to be things that we need to repent for. There's always going to need to be forgiveness. There always needs to, like, we're just living in a broken, fallen world, and we're broken and fallen humans. Like, it's going to be continuous healing until we get to the other side. And So I think it's unfair to put this expectation on us or even on other people. Did you hear me? This expectation on other people that we have to be 100% healed. And I say that because I sit with singles who feel like they need to be 100% healed to be worthy of a relationship, and also who are very quickly to reject others who are on their journey of healing. And hear me when I say, sometimes, sometimes people are at a place in their journey or not where they refuse to do the work, or they refuse to grow, or they refuse to heal, or they're not self-aware. And those are people that would be difficult to be in a relationship with, right? Those are people who may need some more time, right? So I'm not saying that, yeah, you should just be good to date anybody who's not done any work. That's not what I'm saying. But we're on the becoming. We're on the becoming journey. The person you're dating is going to be on the becoming journey. The person you married is on the becoming journey. We're all walking towards continued healness and wholeness and freedom. And that's a journey. And my healing has continued as I've entered into marriage. Nick's healing has continued. There was conversations in our dating season where he was upfront with me, and he was like, look, here's an area I know I need to work in, and I need to work in my story, and I haven't done it yet, but I'm really willing to do it. I just haven't really had the structure to be able to do it. And I saw enough fruit to be able to go, okay, yeah, this guy has the willingness and the heart to revisit this and to go back and to get the help he needs. And he starts that journey, and there's continued layers of that, right? And so now we get to continue the healing process. We get to continue growing, to be more and more like Jesus every day. We just get to do it side by side. And in our individual journeys, but also in our collective journeys. And so that's my list. That's my list of just some things. I know there's a lot more, but those are just some things I jotted down and I wanted to have a conversation with you about. And I'm curious to hear if there was one that stood out to you. I'm curious to hear if there is one that really resonated with you or was something you never thought about before. Again, hear me out. This is not a marriage advice podcast whatsoever. This is really just my experience and things that I've learned as I've been really reflective over the last year, and especially, now celebrating 6 months of marriage, which is crazy, and just some reflections that I've learned. So would love to hear from you guys. So please send me a message. Please let me know what you want to hear me chat about next. We'll of course have Nick back, but I'm excited to spend some time chatting with you, and just having this conversation. So thanks for joining me in the virtual living room. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe on YouTube. It really helps us get this word out and get this message out to other people and to new listeners and viewers. So please subscribe. You won't miss anything. You'll get notifications from them. And then also, if you're not watching us on YouTube, but you are listening on podcast, if you would go and if you would rate and review us on Apple Podcasts, that would be really, really wonderful. Again, helps us continue to connect with new people and get this message out of having grace for our growth process, having grace for continued healing and continue to be on the journey. So thanks for being on the journey with me. Thanks for sitting in this virtual living room. I look forward to chatting with you and messaging back and forth with you this week, and we'll see you guys soon. Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Grace for the Growth podcast with Courtney Leo. I hope that this conversation encouraged you and inspired you on your own growth journey and as you pursue a life full of authenticity and freedom. I want to encourage you to interact with us on social media at Grace for the Growth and at Courtney Y. Leo. Also, if you've got any ideas, way that these episodes have impacted you or encouraged you, I want to invite you to either DM us or email us at hello@graceforthegrowth.com. Until next time, I challenge you to embrace your story, welcome the messy, sit in the unknown, and live authentically. Bye-bye now.